Lots of Indian paintbrush out today. And if your horses aren't used to walking on bridges, this can be quite a startling thing for them. All of our horses are all trained for police work, and one of the things we train on are bridges. So they're all good to go. Here's a glance of the river. It sure has come down quite a bit over the last 2 weeks. It's dropped in half. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half. We're 2.5 miles in. Just letting the horses have a break. We didn't really stop for lunch yet, so we're having some lunch. Letting the horses graze for a little bit. The trail has been in actually not really great condition. They haven't had a trail crew up here yet, so we've had to go around a lot of dead fallen trees. It's one thing when you can jump over them on foot, but with stock, it's a little different. So, not making as good a time as we wish we were. But we're all having fun. Check that happy face out. So we're almost to the fork in the trail. We'll be taking the right-hand fork, and from there on up, for me, it's all brand new trail I've never seen before. Okay, that was the sign for the wilderness area. And we're just up here, like I said, a little bit of ways. The trail's gonna fork up to the left fork. It goes up to Untitled Lake. Up to the right, it goes to Norice, which is where we're headed. So you can see Mount Beulah in all her glory there. This is the cathedral over here, and we're actually going to go up this other draw here. Okay, here is the fork. Alsop is that way, and Prior de Norice this way. And that side does quite a hike, and right at the top of this little hill right here is a pretty good sized waterfall. Up here, I'm guessing we're gonna have to cross the river at some point in time, but I don't know where. Okay, well, I said we were gonna cross the river, and you ain't just a kidding. They don't want to cross very bad. So pretty good canyon of water coming out this right-hand fork. Of course, it has 2 lakes worth of water feeding it. Okay, what do you think so far?
Good.
Are you tired?
Tired, yeah.
Kind of tired. That river crossing was pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, I was honestly a little nervous that he was going to tip, but it was good. Water felt nice.
All right, we got to watch this guy.
This isn't net.
Yeah, this is the comedy of the whole show there. Yeah, oh, they're all ready to go home.
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're crossing here or not. The trail kind of goes up, but there's a trail over here too. I'm not sure. We'll have to look. But this is only half of the river. The other half of it came from the other side, so it won't be near as hard to cross. So this is a spring. We've gone up here and you can see the water just pouring out of the ground. Beautiful little cascade that goes over and joins the river. So we're gonna go up here and get a drink right out of this spring. So this is the top end of the spring and you can just see the water boiling out of it. I'm just gonna get down here and stick my face in it. This section of trail is a lot different than the left-hand fork. Once you get to the top of the waterfall on the left-hand fork, it just kind of goes meadows to meadows to meadows and just does a gradual climb up here. Seems like we've been climbing here for a long ways. All through the trees. Lots of deadfall up here. So it's getting later in the day than I wish it was, and we've got about a mile and a half to go. There's all sorts of just absolutely beautiful places here. We could stake the horses out and plenty of trees for the hammocks, but we're gonna try to push on. At least it's mellowed out and we're hitting more meadows, but all these down trees blocking the trail, they're really slowing us up, really making us take a lot longer to do this than we should be. So I don't know if we're gonna get a good shot of it here, but look at the water coming down over here. Okay guys, so this is what we're gonna call camp today. Check that out for the snowdrift right in the middle of our camp. We'll have to put the fire pit back together, but there's already a little downed wood. We're gonna be able to hang in these trees here, and then these trees here. This is the lake. Sadly, I have not seen any fish rising in it yet, but and here's the sign, Norice Lake. So when you're working with pack animals, you have to, oh, there's some fish rising down here in this end. Perfect. So when we're working with pack animals, they come first. So the second we got here, we pulled all of our panniers and stuff off of them, and saddles off of them, and put them out to eat. Okay, block the sunlight. So there's a big rock up there. We put all our saddles and stuff up. We took that off. Whew. Beautiful little creek running down through here. We'll have to filter it, but we've got the two horses tied out there and Daryl down here, and they are eating and happy. So we're gonna go put camp together because we are 5 minutes from having sunset. We're having sunset right now. Okay. So we are just getting our fire going, and we're gonna have hobo dinners for dinner. So I got Morgan in charge of the ferro rod, and she's never done this before.
Nope. Okay.
Okay, you're getting a little, there you go. Now you're getting sparks, but you moved away from the cotton ball.
I'm weak.
Nope, you're getting good sparks. Stay on it where it's silver. Okay, we're gonna try a different method. Give her heck. Start on the, see where this is silver?
Yeah.
Start with the edge of the knife on that silver. And pull the rod, not the knife. Oh, there was a good spark. We are going to keep practicing this because before we're done at this camp, you're going to start us a fire. Oh,
Oh,
check that
nice.
out. Okay, once we get the cotton ball going, then we just put all this little stuff on top of it, and that will get going.
Yep.
And then as it gets bigger, way to go, Morgan. I was
Yay.
about ready to do it for you, and you did it all by yourself.
Half my friends can't even do this, so.
That's right. So ha ha.
And I know half of my friends are, I'm gonna tell them, they're probably gonna be in a lot of trouble for that, but oh
That's
well.
all right. Okay, so I like living on the edge, I guess. I'm going with my bug net, no tarp. There's a 0% chance of rain for the next 3 days. That's what the forecast said. We had some gray clouds go by in the afternoon when it heats up, but man, there's nothing but blue sky. My tarp's sitting right there. If it starts to rain, I guess I'll hurry and put it up. Morgan borrowed my Hennessy hammock, so she'll be staying in this one. And her dad's got her double covered with his, he's got the same setup I do, except he got the black underquilt. So he'll be under there, and those guys can be able to talk to each other tonight. Morgan, the fire master's got the fire going. We gotta get us a good set of coals going so we can do some hobo dinners tonight.
Yep. Trying to get the sticks in.
And the
Oh,
winds.
I found a good throwing stick.
Okay. The winds died down enough. I think I might try to go catch a fish while we're waiting for coals. Okay, for dinner. This is Morgan's dinner.
Yep.
Hobo dinners, hamburger, potatoes, onions.
Yep.
She's yumming that up. I already yummed mine all up.
I'm a slow eater, don't judge me.
So,
Don't come at
I've
me.
got some blueberry muffin mix. I just poured some butter in a pan, and I'm just cooking it. Cooking it up in the pan and eating it. It's pretty tasty.
Cash is very upset.
So, good morning. It's about 6:30. We went to bed pretty early last night. It was a long ride up here, and we were all tired. But Aaron and Morgan are still sleeping this morning, so I'm trying to not make a bunch of noise, so I've gone for a little walk. So last night while we were setting our hammocks up, there was about 30 head of elk came down to the lake from the top end. Of course, we were all hands deep trying to hook our hammocks up, so we didn't get any video of it, but I was hoping this morning that maybe we would see something. But once they know you're here, they don't come around very often. So another thing about last night, I slept without a tarp, and it was great. There was a pretty breezy last night, a lot of wind. But I stayed warm. I actually pulled my underquilt up so it zips up on top of me, but not all the way, just enough to cover my legs, and then with my other sleeping bag on top of me, my top quilt, I stayed very, very warm. But we had the fullest moon last night. I kept waking up thinking it was morning. It was so bright, so I didn't sleep spectacularly, but I never do when I'm not in my own bed. So it wasn't a total surprise. Oh, the sun's trying to come up still. Got the horses staked out. They get to have their breakfast. It won't be long till we get some sunshine. I get everybody else taken care of, and I'm gonna go fix some breakfast for myself. Okay, so I decided, since the other sleepyheads are still in bed, see if there's any fish in here. So I've come to the creek that's actually coming in, and I fished the whole thing. There's fish all over. They're actually decent sized, compared to what I was catching the other day. So there is an opportunity here to have fish for dinner. What can we say? Not a bad place at all to wake up. So the elk we saw last night were up in this top end of this little meadow here. Pretty good size little creek coming in here. It's got to be spring fed, so that is a heck of a spring. There's another lake that we're going to hike to today that's up in here. But I think the water from it is coming in right here. There's a shot of the cathedral. Hopefully I can get some good shots of it when the sun comes up and put some light on it. All right, so we are packed up. We're gonna go for a little day hike now up to Norice Lake, but the trail goes up the mountain that way. True to my nature, we're gonna follow, there's the little river that runs up there. We're gonna follow it up a ways, and then we'll cut up the backside and come into it, and then maybe we'll come back down the main trail. Morgan and Aaron are doing one last check on the horses, make sure they're good and safe while they're tied out while we're gone. And we're gonna hit the trail, bring the fish pole, see what we can find. Okay, so we've come up here a little ways. There's two really good sized flows of water here that are joining together and dumping into this lake. I know the one that comes up this other side comes from a spring. I don't know if this is another spring or the lake above us. We're just exploring today. Okay, so we've made it to the very upper end of this basin, and this is a very sizable amount of water coming out of just a little bit of snow melt and some springs. We're going to walk up to the very, very headwaters. This is the water that I drink at my house. This is where it starts. So this really is it. It just comes out of this pile of rocks right up here. Okay, there's a herd of elk right here at the top. Oh, and there's got to be 30 or more of them. They're gonna look like they're 100 miles away on this camera, but they're like 100 yards from us. All right, they bailed off in the trees. We might run into them again. Okay, quite a bit of snow melt, but this amount of water right here just comes right out of the rock. And a little over here too. We've been taking our opportunity every time we can and drinking fresh out of these springs, and the water is just ice cold and so good. And then my dog has to go jump right in the middle of it. Way to go, Cash. Yep, sit in it. So the Bear River starts, one part of it starts right there and it ends in the Great Salt Lake. So that water there has quite a journey to make it. So we're gonna go right up this little draw right here and circle around, and that other lake should be right up above us here. You might run into those elk again. Half of them turned left and half of them went right. All right, I know I've said this a bunch of times and you guys are gonna get tired of me saying it, but quit letting your Mylar balloons go. I'm at 11,000 feet in the Uintas and this is where they all end up. And now I gotta haul it out. Oh, look at all these gigantic rocks. What would it be like to stand in here when one of those came off up there? So the bush cranberries are just up there. Up here they're everywhere, but they're just starting to turn red. They're not quite ready yet, but they're still taste good. Okay. We just jumped a little mule deer out of here, and they should have had their babies already. So there might be a little fawn that jumps up here somewhere. She came out of right here. But I don't see anything. All right, we're going. Teach this girl how to climb. Piece of cake. All right, Aaron. This guy's scared of heights, so he's already in his uncomfortable zone. And then I'm just gonna walk up right here.
That's what he did last time.
That's what I did last time. He'll never let me forget it, so I keep rubbing it in. I think we're gonna have a lake pop in here. Oh, it's right there. There it is. We certainly took the long route, but this is one of those really high mountain lakes where the water is just absolutely teal green. There's not very much dirt in the soil, is my understanding. So that's what causes the color. Yeah, we're gonna walk up. Look at this great cirque basin up here, carved out by glaciers. And I just love the color of this water. It is so blue. Aquamarine. And the main lake, Preord Lake, is deeper, so it's a deeper color green. But it has the glacial silt in it, so it's milky. I don't know if there'll be any fish in it, but we hope there are. Morgan has never caught a fish before, so we brought her up here to catch one. So in these upper cirque lakes, the wind will blow up as the day heats up, but the air doesn't have anywhere to go, so it'll follow this basin around and then it'll blow you over going the other way. We keep getting these crazy gusts of wind. The only way I can fly fish will be from the other side, but I want to give Morgan and Aaron a minute to try this side. Look at the water. Okay, so here is the inlet to Norice Lake. Usually fish are hanging out by the inlet trying to get any bugs or any food coming into the lake. And there just isn't anything in here. But you can see the silt, how dark it is here, and then it lightens up as it goes out. And then over here against the edges, the water's almost clear. So I found a little rock nook out of the way. I don't think there's any fish in here, but I'm not a very good fisherman, so I wouldn't trust me either. But if we can get on the other side where we can see in the water a little bit and be out of the wind, that'll be my best chance. There we go. So we actually started seeing some fish, and they're starting to chase Morgan and Aaron's lure in, and we started seeing some of them jumping.
I saw like one. It looked like a mini catfish, honestly. The best description I can give.
But we found another spring right here. We're walking right through the middle of it, just coming out of the rocks up here. So we're going to go up to the top here, where the water's the cleanest, and fill our bottles, because this water is ice cold and coming right out of the ground. Okay, there's the fish, or the first fish out of this lake.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm not the one who caught it, but I was the one who chose the spot. Oh.
All right, we need to get him back in the water. He's been out a minute. And I had one chasing my flies just over here around the corner. All right, and I finally have one on. Looks like a little tiger. He's fat. Oh, he's beautiful. That's dinner size. I hope we can do that down at our camp. Absolutely beautiful. Holy crap, he's a fatty. I can hardly lift him off my pole. Not too bad. And they're taking my bee. I'm doing a bumblebee. Okay, here's my third from this lake. They're beautiful. And they're fighters. I don't think they see a lot of action up here. All right. A little further next time. So stop your pole when it's about the angle you are right now. All right, give her heck again. Beautiful. Let it sink for a second and then just slowly reel it in. so fat I can hardly pull them out. That, folks, is a nice fish. So I'm not sure which way we're gonna end up walking out. But I just walked up this little ridge here. Beautiful meadow on this other side. Bunch of little ponds. This may be how we bail out, but I'm not sure. So I thought I'd share it with you while I was here. Well, there's my last view of Norice Lake. And this beautiful circuit's in. We did pretty good with fish. I did pretty good with fish. I think fly fishing was better than the lures up here. And maybe it's just that they didn't have the right lure. But I think we're gonna start walking out. We're gonna go down to Norice Lake and see if we can actually catch some fish we can have for dinner. Okay, so I figured they'd be feeding. This is the outlet of the lake and it just kind of comes into this pond. And I figured they'd be feeding at the bottom. Look at this beautiful cutthroat. Let's see if I can bring him ashore. So look at the red.
Oh yeah, that's a
all over him. That is beautiful. I haven't caught one of these before that I know of.
Yeah, we caught.
Okay, we made it back to Norice Lake. Our camp is just up here. And we were all just placing bets on if we had 3 horses here or not. So if we don't, that's gonna be a bummer. But I see my horse. And if we have at least 1, hopefully 2 tied up, the 3rd one won't walk away. All right, there's a welcome sight. 3 horses right where they're supposed to be. We'll go see if they need moved, which I'm sure they do. And check everything out. I think they look real good where they're at. All right, well, it's evening time now. We went and fished the other side of this lake and I caught 1 respectable fish and 1 that was needed to grow up still, but we ate him both for dinner. We had some the hash browns that come in the little milk cartons, and we brought a little 5-count container of Grand's biscuits and a squeezed butter. It's nice to carry stuff when you don't have to carry it. And let your horse do it for you. So anyway, we had a really, really great dinner. And now we're just gonna sit by the fire till bedtime. And tomorrow we'll pack up and head on out. Okay, so while we're here, this is a new purchase I made. It's another Seanock Vecto. When I bought it, I assumed it would be the same size as my other one, but the mouthpiece on this thing is huge compared to the little one. I was going to get a Sawyer with the threads on both sides so you could just loop them up like this. What we learned is that my Sawyer Mini just fits right in there. So we can hang this, do other camp chores and stuff. It's not very fast, but it's making water. Okay, so it's very hard to film coming home. Unlike backpackers who are all wore out, horses know they're going home, and man, they're all in a hurry. They're trying to run, and we're jumping rocks and creeks and going through swamps and stuff. So it's very hard to film, but I just tied my horse up to a tree for a second because I wanted to show you this. This crossing isn't as bad as the other one. It was deep. But if you don't have a horse, you're getting your feet wet because there's no log jams or anything to cross. So this is the second river crossing, depending on, well, it doesn't matter either way. This one's not as deep. The first one is by far the worst when you're coming up. So here's another spot that I thought was too pretty to not stop and video. So right on the other side of this mountain here is where the trail forks, and Norice Lake goes up the other side. Oh, see folks, there's another Mylar balloon. All right, so you backpackers that have to cross this, I suggest a nice pair of waterproof shoes and a mankini, because you're going to get wet. And like I said, maybe this is where the right fork and the left fork come together. Maybe in the springtime, or the fall, there's a place to cross a log, but I sure don't see it here. Cash has got some cows up here he doesn't know what to do with. Okay, so we've decided to stop where the cabins are on this, the old tie hat cabins, and have lunch and let the horses eat for a minute. And I'll get a good shot of all that's left, because there ain't much. So this is all that's left of one of the old cabins. There's another small one there, a bigger one than there, and then below us there's a couple more small ones. They did a lot of timbering up in this country when the railroad was going in. All right, lunchtime. Goodness gracious. So we just sat down. I've tried the tuna packets this go around. I've never had them before. They're actually pretty good. I would try them again for backpacking. When we carry a pack horse, we usually bring steak and pork chops and all sorts of good stuff in a cooler. And where we just didn't bring a pack horse, we packed pretty light. So they're good. Chicken and a biscuit. And tuna. It's a good meal.
Yeah.
Nothing.
There we go. What did you think, Morg?
Good. I enjoyed it.
What was your favorite part?
Maybe catching fish.
Catching fish.
Catching fish was fun.
Fishing. Clay's the one that did some real catching.
Well, we caught one.
We got one. What else?
Was crossing the river fun?
No, I hated that so much.
That was kind of fun.
It was a little scary the first time, but the coming
Sounds
back
bad second time.
wasn't so bad. All right, well, you want to go again?
You gonna go again?
Yeah, probably.
We didn't scare you away from it?
No.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, we made it home. About 9 miles in each way, a little under for some reason on the way back, a little over on the way there. Had a good time, caught some good fish, had a beautiful camp, and I think Morgan had fun. Fun enough she wants to do, or is willing to try it again, and we didn't scare her off of it. So get out there and go to the far off places and adventure on.